Cricket, our national treasure? Or dying irrelevance? Bodyline, tactical genius? Or national disgrace? The 100, inspired innovation? Or misguided mistake? Join the cricket conversation with a subscription to the Cricketer magazine.
Welcome back to the Quarantine Cup and a crucial final game in Group 1 as Gloucestershire and Northamptonshire go head-to-head. Northamptonshire go into this one knowing they need a handsome victory if they are to progress into the last 4 of the competition. Ricardo Vasconcelos behind the controls needs to score at least 14 boundaries and win the game if he's going to leapfrog Hampshire into the semi-finals. On Gloucestershire's part, they know that they're already through. They've got more boundaries already than Hampshire, but they'll want to get the momentum going into the semi-finals that will have victories out of all 5 of their group games. Right, it's just about time then to get over to the action. Your commentators for this evening's game are Adam Collins and Daniel Norcross.
Welcome back to the Quarantine Cup on thecricketer.com. Adam Collins and Daniel Norcross with you for the final game in Group 1. Everything to play for Northants, who are third, playing against Gloucestershire, Dan, who will go through to the second stage, but who they go through with will all be determined in this final game.
Well, it's always determined in the Quarantine Cup by the very best metric that we've got in cricket, really. It's boundary count back. It's the most just way of doing it. And Northants are going to have to get 14 boundaries. Got to win the game and score 14 boundaries. That's going to be challenging in 30 balls. But as we know, only the very best sides win on boundary count back. So it's an honourable and decent way to go. Over back to you for the toss.
Yeah, the toss will be interesting. So Gloucestershire have won all their games. They will go through regardless. They've won the toss here. Will they elect to give Northants the opportunity to make those 14 boundaries? That will be interesting. They have elected to bowl, right? So Northants have their destiny in their own hands to a certain extent.
Well, that was very generous, wasn't it? You'd think of Gloucestershire there. They could, effectively, if they'd wanted to, and if they were frightened of Ricardo Vasconcelos behind the controls for Northants, they might have just gone out there, thrown their wickets away and given Northants no chance of getting those boundaries. But now there's a glimmer of hope for those Wantage Road fans. And it's going to be David Payne, the left armour, who's going to start up. And I like this a lot. He's coming round the wicket.
So David Payne to start the final game in Group 1. Bowling here to Levy, who pushes into the offside to begin, straight to the fielder. They take a single. So there's 29 balls remaining, 14 boundaries needed if you want to put it into that framework there, which we will as we work through this innings.
Well, we're going to have to, aren't we? Because it's absolutely crucial. It's not just about winning here for Northants. We can't stress this enough. It's about boundaries, as actually Quarantine Cup cricket is generally, isn't it? You've got 30 balls and the side hits those most boundaries, tends to come out on top.
Ricardo Vasconcelos, the coach, the pilot and the opener, facing his first ball, pulling Payne through the onside, but again only to the man at square leg for a single, so 2-1s to begin. So they need a boundary from every other ball now. I know we're sort of getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but that's what you do when you get into these final games. There's a little bit of jeopardy involved.
I do love the pointless speculating about group permutations. It's one of the best bits of cricket, isn't it, Colo?
David Payne going to stay around the wicket to Richard Levy. There's a gully. He bowls to him here. Short of a length. Pulling hard into the onside. Gets another single. So 3 singles to start the innings. The degree of difficulty goes up a little bit further.
Really does. They've just got to have a look around that ground and see where those gaps are. There are plenty of them. There's only 3 fielders out in the boundary. We've got a third man, fine leg.
Indeed, only 2 of them are out at the moment. We've got a third man and a fine leg. No other. So there's a fair degree of confidence there from Gloucestershire that their opener Payne can not go around. No, sorry, I correction. There's a deep point. I just didn't see him. I'd make that a deep backward square leg. Just saw him bob up in the side of the graphic there. But Payne does go over the wicket to the skipper, Vasconcelos, and bowls him. Well, there you go. The coach is gone. His stumps skittles. They're everywhere. Middle stump, leg stump, a big inducker has done the business. Gloucestershire, they picked up their first wicket. And Northants, as I say, the task for them to qualify gets yet harder again.
No finer sight for a fast bowler, is it, than seeing the clatter of timber as those 2 stumps flew out of the ground. And Vasconcelos, he's going to be getting particularly concerned here. That's not just him getting out. It's 4 balls without a boundary. Props to David Payne. What a delivery that was. Big, booming in-swinger at pace. Gave the left-hander no chance at all.
It was reminiscent of Mitchell Stark in the World Cup to Ben Stokes last year, wasn't it? That delivery which we came back to time and again at Lords. So Payne has 1 for 3 from 4 deliveries, the opening bowler for Gloucestershire. Kieran Pollard's the new man to the middle. We know he can hit 14 boundaries in a hurry. Don't worry about that. But can he get away? 2 balls to go in the first over. Payne to Pollard. It's full. Clipped through the onside. Strikes it well, but straight to the sweeper out there. So they've scored only in singles so far. Overthrows, indeed. Right you are. A dive is made by Pollard to ensure that he makes his ground. I don't know if Levy would make a dive had it been required, but they advance their score by a couple. 5 for 1 with 1 delivery to come in the first over. Pollard off the mark first ball, but no boundaries crucially in this over. And Payne finish it with an effective delivery. He does, out towards square leg with a single, well, it'll be a single I should say, to finish it off. Pollard keeps the strike, 6 for 1. Northants in a real spot of bother here.
Well, they really are. You know, as we talked at the beginning, it was almost a boundary every other ball. Now it's 14 required off 24 balls. A terrific over from Payne, but nonetheless, well, we had their 4 singles, a 2, and that wicket. Jerome Taylor coming into the attack. I don't think it's going to get any easier for Northants.
You'd say on his day, Jerome Taylor at the peak of his powers was one of the hardest bowlers in the world to get away. I remember him watching him bowl a fine spell at Savannah Park back in 2015. Of course, he bowled at England, didn't he, for not many 6 years before that at the start of his international journey. Of course, now at Gloucestershire. Pushing off and starting his run towards Pollard, another former international, occasional international, and beats him on the inside edge. Well, I don't know about that. You do not see that too often, where the in-swinger starting as far away from the outside of the off-stump. He's shuffled over.
155 kilometres an hour. That's pushing the big 100-mile-an-hour mark.
Taylor on the stumps, turned into the onside by Pollard for a single. Will they take a second? They consider it. Before Vasconcelos on the control said, we'll just stick with the single. So still no boundaries. What is going on? What's the equation? Tougher. They need 14 boundaries in. How many balls have we got left?
22 balls remaining. It's almost, not quite a boundary a ball, but we're getting close to it.
So Taylor on the approach and delivers to Levy. And there's no boundary there either. Just pushed out into the offside. No real contact made. Not even an inside edge onto the pad. It's 8 for 1 halfway through the second over. This is already slipping away from the Northamptonshire side.
It really is, and I'm a little concerned about Richard Levy. He's put in a lot of training over the winter. You can tell he's a lot spelter than normal.
Taylor, short, Pollard, pulls, past square leg. Has he gone out towards the rope? He has, but there's a man in front of the chapel stand to ensure they only get a couple. A good diving effort made there by Pollard as well. So, watching the board tick over, he's 6 from 5. The run rate at the moment is a run a ball. They needed a boundary every other ball. Not ideal. 10 for 1's the score. Taylor again to Pollard. Outside leg stump. Somehow he finds a way to get it to mid-off. Had he left it, I reckon it would have been a leg side wide, but not to be. 11 for 1. All the ones on the board with 1 ball to go in the second over.
Still no boundaries. And I just wonder if both of these characters, actually, Pollard and Levy, are looking a lot more trim. And I just wonder if that's affecting their range hitting. Have they been doing any of that in lockdown?
So Levy gets the strike back. Hasn't seen much of it so far. Last ball of the second over. Great in-swinger. Strikes him on the pad. They race through for a leg by, but that's classy swing bowling from the experienced international Jerome Taylor. 12 for 1's the score after 2 overs. Just outstanding. There is an appeal, a belated appeal, I think, there for... Was it possibly for leg before? I mean, it did do plenty. It started well outside the off stump, but we saw the hoop in the first over. Hit in the air at Adelaide today. I don't think they're going to review.
No, they're not. But frankly, look, they've had 12 balls, haven't hit a boundary. They've got 18 balls left. They still need 14 boundaries if they're going to progress, go through to the next stage. So they've got to get at least 2 boundaries in this over.
So Qais Ahmed with his right arm wrist spin going around the wicket, and no contact made from the first ball. So the struggle for Northants continues. Neither batsman able to find the rope. They're limping along. 12 for 1 after 2.1 overs. Not even a run ball.
Curran Pollard, this very unlike Pollard.
Ahmed bowls again outside the leg stump, and Pollard pushes into the offside. You've got to ask yourself about the tactics here. If they've given up the ghost already, it's hard to work out why they wouldn't be swinging relentlessly.
Well, you would, especially in these circumstances. I mean, you know, they've got wickets in hand, but they've got to hit the boundaries.
So Ahmed persisting around the wicket as he might, given how effective he's been so far. On the sweep is Pollard, behind square to the sweeper racing around in front of the football stands here at Adelaide Oval. They'll take a single, 13 for 1. Doesn't mean an awful lot.
It's all very well, though, isn't it, having a go at these Northants batsmen. We've got to give some props to Gloucestershire here. They have been on the money. I like the way they've changed the angle, especially this round the wicket angle from the leg spinner.
Ahmed Talebi's faced just 4 balls so far through the onside, and that won't go to the boundary either. Deep mid-wicket, running around in front of the Mark Rashudo stand. They take a single, 14 for 1.
Well, that's it, Colo. They're in the last chance saloon here. There's 14 balls left. They've got to get 14 boundaries. It's extraordinary. They've had 16 balls. They haven't hit one yet.
All right, well, that changed Pollard's approach. 8 from 9 so far. Ahmed, 2 balls to go in his over. Pollard does swing, but no contact. Beaten outside the off stump. That means, unless there's some version of oversteps or whatever else, there are no balls. Ahmed goes again, last ball of the over, and Pollard again fails to make contact. What a disaster this has been for Northants. There's a shout for caught behind. It's turned down. They consider a review. The Gloucestershire Brains Trust, they elect not to send it upstairs. So a brilliant over of wrist spin. Daniel Norcross, yes, as I say, barring no balls, we now know who is going through from Group 1. It will be Gloucestershire and Hampshire.
Well, that was quick, wasn't it? I mean, this game's only been going for about 15 minutes, and already effectively, the semi-final lineup, certainly from this group, has been determined. Great work from Qais Ahmed. You know, he's gone for 2 runs in that over, 2 singles, 4 dot balls.
Brilliant.
Kyron Pollard does not look himself. He faced 4 dots himself in that over, picked up just the single off the 5th ball. Good gracious.
And Benny Howe will take
it's a limp way to go out. It's a limp way to go out.
Sure, he's Benny Howe for the penultimate over. Twitter's favourite, the Statsman's favourite. On the approach and bowls to Richard Levy, who swings hard through the leg side, and at last they find the rope. 1 bounce into the chapel stand on the members' side of the ground here at Adelaide. Well, it's been a long time coming for the experienced Levy, but 6 runs added to his total and to Northants. They're 20 for 1. 1 ball into the 4th over. He goes again. He's not Benny Howe. Sorry to cut you off, Dan. It's short and left outside the off stump for reasons best explained by the Northants controller, Vasconcelos, because I don't know why you would leave that go. There's no way it's been signalled away.
Yeah, it's baffling stuff out there. I was going to say that Richard Levy's been not starved of much in his life, but he's been starved of strike today.
Levy this time inside out. Oh, that's a beautiful shot. All the way into the Gavin Wanganeen stand. Well, I tell you what, 126 metres inside out. Have a bit of that. So while the game and the season might be slipping away from Northants, that is a fine strike of the cricket ball by Richard Levy.
But it just goes to show how desperately they needed him on strike, didn't they? I don't suppose Northants were expecting Kyron Pollard to have such a limp display in such a crucial match. But Richard Levy, it's always lovely watching him, isn't it?
Benny Howe goes to Richard Levy, 15 from 8 balls. Finally swinging, but he makes room for himself outside the leg stump. Doesn't make contact. He misses it by a mile outside the off stump. So another dot ball lodged for Gloucestershire. They consider again using their review for a stumping on this occasion, but think better of it. So a more productive over, 12 runs from 4 balls, but the score's just 26 for 1. Will he give him something in his hitting zone? It's short. Levy goes through cover and is taken. That's the second wicket for Gloucestershire. It's the veteran Levy gone. Benny Howe gets the breakthrough, and after some lovely striking of the ball earlier in the over, the somewhat tortured innings comes to an end. Daniel Norcross.
Great bit of bowling from Benny Howe, isn't it? Just that quicker one that skids on. I've got to say, really nimble work from David Payne. He's going to his wrong side, don't forget. It's a left-arm bowler, and he's just plucked that a couple of inches off the ground. It's super stuff from Gloucestershire. Northants' claggy effort continues. What are they now? 26 for 2. They've only got 7 balls left. They're effectively out of the competition. Can they just show a bit of ticker here in this, as they limp slowly and incredulously out of the quarantine cup?
So Rossington's the man sent in at number 4. He's got 1 ball to face in this over. He strikes it nicely to mid-off. They run. There's easily single. Oh, here we go. Buzzers. 4 of them. That makes 5 from the delivery. Doesn't mean an awful lot as far as Northants season is concerned, but it does mean they've ended up tallying, I think it might be 17 off the over alongside the wicket of Levy. So at least they're heading in the right direction, but some sloppy fielding there.
Well, it might make for a better contest overall, mightn't it? As you say, 17 runs off the over. What I ask you though, Paulo, is does that count as a boundary?
That's a good. I think it would.
I presume so.
I would have loved to have seen that. Well, it must have, because we saw what happened at Lords in the World Cup final.
Counted as a boundary.
That counted as a boundary. Yeah, the 4 overthrows there. Taylor bowling the 5th over for Gloucester. Over the top of cover goes Rossington. No, he doesn't. He's taken. Well, there you go. Running around at extra cover. That's the 3rd wicket to fall for Northants. A relatively limp dismissal at that. Nowhere near enough contact made. And, well, talk us through it, Daniel Norcross.
Bottom of the bat, tried to get elevation on it, but it's Pollard, isn't it? And Pollard has had a frankly dismal time out there, and his dismal innings has come to a dismal end. 12 balls. He stanked the house out with that 8 runs. It was absolutely weird stuff, I've got to say. Normally such a clean striker of the ball, but on that occasion, well, that was very emblematic of his whole knot, wasn't it? Bottom of the bat, it just looped in a gentle parabola into the hands of Benny Howe. He's gone. 3rd wicket to fall, 31 for 3. Can Northants just maybe salvage a bit of pride in this over? Anything over 40, 45, they'll have something to bowl at.
So Rossington on strike. He probably should have been on strike the ball before, come to think of it. Taylor bowls to him. He drives through point, drives nicely out towards the Bradman stand. They take one. Oh, nearly a run out. There should have been a run out. I tell you what, Wakely leaning on the splice, found himself out of his ground. The bails weren't taken. So he'll get to face his first delivery, but that could have been a 2nd wicket in this 5th over. So 32 for 3. Wakely yet to face a ball. Taylor to him around the wicket, left arm, short of a length, pushed through point. The same result, straight to the sweeper at point. They move to 33 for 3.
They're terrific bowling again, though, isn't it? Bowling to the field. Bowling to the field. This is so important. We've seen a lot in this quarantine cup. If you get your field right and you bowl to that field, you can really apply pressure. You can really squeeze the batsman. And that's effectively what Gloucestershire have been doing in this innings.
3rd man deep backward square and deep point, the 3 sweepers as Taylor bowls to Rossington, who plays through the onside. Lovely clip. That's a delicious stroke. No worries about that. The boundaries have not been forthcoming today, but he's played that delightfully out to the mid-wicket boundary. Timing of perfection there.
Be still my beating heart, Adam Rossington. That is the shot of the match. It's possibly the shot of the cup. That's no more than a gentle push. Leant on it, sped away for 4. Almost like Damien Martin.
I was going to say, that was Damien Martin-esque, wasn't it? We saw him make plenty of runs in Adelaide Oval over the journey. Rossington facing up to Taylor. 2 balls to go in the innings. He pulls again. This time it's through towards the man at backward square. The sweeper races in, keeps it to 1. Good tight fielding. They've been excellent.
Well, they've made no mistakes, have they? I mean, that's another thing. It's another feature of this cup, that the sides that field most cleanly. I mean, those buzzers notwithstanding, they've left 5 runs out there to overthrows. Otherwise, they've been immaculate.
Last ball of the innings. Taylor bowling to Wakely. Can he make contact? He does not. A swing and a miss outside the off stump, and Daniel Norcross. They'll finish on 38 for 3, and it really does sum up the limp performance from the Northants side.
It does. They came into this game with a lot of hope. I mean, it was an outside chance. They needed 14 boundaries if they were going to win this game with 14 boundaries, get through on boundary count back. That's not going to happen. But they've set a modest target, 37. Let me just take you through the tail of that tape. 9 dot balls in that innings, 11 singles, 2 sixes, a 4, a 5, 2 leg byes, each a single leg bye on each occasion, and 1 2. So you can see scoring boundaries. They wanted 14 of them. They ended up with 4 of them, and that was never going to be enough. 38 for 3 they finish on. Pollard's 8 off 12 deliveries being the major problem. A couple of sixes from Levy hinted at what was possible, and Adam Rossington down the bottom of the order there, 11 off 4. If only perhaps he'd been advanced further up the order. Northants, though, they'll still look, if they win this game, they're going to end up in a 3-way tie, having won 4 out of 5 matches, and at the top of the table. They won't go through, but that will be honour enough.
Buck to start the defence for Northants. Hammond and Hankins, the 2 men out there. Big in-swinger to begin. That's a good shout, and it's given. Hammond's gone first ball. A lovely piece of late swing from over the wicket. Buck right on the money. They'll consider a review, but I don't know about that. That seemed pretty out to me.
It did seem out. I don't think there's any value in that. And it's a terrific ball to get first up. So where's that ball is swinging, it doesn't swing for too long. This white ball, and Hammond, who's had a fairly good tournament at various stages, got to go for a first ball duck. Nathan Buck, got to say, I'm loving the hair.
He'll be bowling to Cheshwar Pujara, who'll play himself in, you'd think. There'd be no rush here. They've only got to get 39 from 29 balls. So even though they've lost a wicket first ball, Northants perspective, they've got to bowl them out. Buck goes short to Pujara, who pulls over the deep square leg, or rather over the square leg umpire, I should say, towards deep backward square. They take 1. He's off the mark, so it's 1 for 1 after a couple of balls. And yes, there's no need for them to really go after this total, is there? We've seen in modest chases in this tournament, the only way they come a cropper is when you get bowled out.
Well, that's exactly it. And also, you play yourself in, get the feel of the pitch, get the pace of the pitch, and you know they can make up those runs at the back end of the innings, can't they?
Buck to Hankins, who plays through the onside to mid-wicket. They take a quickish single. I think they're relatively easily. Of course, I mentioned the prospect of being all out. We didn't mention at the top, Daniel, but it's 5 out, all out in 5 fives in the Quarantine Cup. So that is why that's a factor in a chase. But that also might influence the way that Gloucestershire play here initially. Pujara facing his second ball from Buck. Outside the off stump, swing and a miss. Hankins is nowhere near that one. Should I say Pujara?
I'm loving that delivery from Buck. You know, he's a naturally aggressive, fast, burly bowler, and he's put that in at only 121 kilometres an hour, utterly deceiving the veteran Indian.
So back again to Pujara, similar part of the wicket, and he slaps it beautifully. Pujara has a test 100 on this ground, and now in the 5-5s format, he is away, inside out, over cupper, into the chapel stand. Have a bit of that.
You know, that is elegance, isn't it? Elegance from Pujara. Somehow, even when he's slogging, he manages to look elegant. There's something of the VBS Laxman to him, I always think.
Yes, I described that as going into the chapel stand. Of course, that went into the football stand on the eastern side of the ground. But the result was the same. This is a ground where Laxman also made a test 100, Daniel. Pujara facing Buck. It's short again. This time he swings and misses. There's a shout for caught behind, but it's a belated and muted one. They go back to their position. So an eventful opening over this one.
Well, you know, 8 runs off it. Target 39. They need 8 runs and over pretty much. So it's nicely poised with that wicket off the first ball. Sanderson coming into the attack. The problem, though, when you're defending such a modest total as this, it can only take a couple of balls. It can totally change the complexion of the match.
Sanderson to Hankins, who off leg stump goes big. That's a huge strike of the cricket ball, the biggest shot of today, and into the stands. Well, 110 yards, it says that's gone. I fancy it might have gone a trifle further than that. That's a long way, a beautiful strike of the cricket ball.
It is a beautiful strike of the cricket ball, and straight into that massed section of the crowd who all look to be Hawthorn Aussie Rules fans. Would I be right? Is that the shirt they're wearing out there?
No, there'd be Adelaide fans and Port Adelaide fans. Mark Rashudo, the stand's named after in that part of the game. He was an Adelaide champion back in the day.
Are they yellow and black, are they?
Adelaide are yellow.
Like wasps.
They are indeed yellow, black and red. They wear. Ben Sanderson on the way to George Hankins, who swings and misses. We've seen that a few times today, Dan, from both sides. Balls bowled into the pitch, a little bit of pace off the ball, and instead of trying to play through the offside, they've tried to welly it over mid-wicket and not made contact.
It suggests that the pitch is a bit claggy, doesn't it? The ball's just sticking in there. The batsmen are hoping it's going to come on and they can whack it through mid-wicket. They're just being utterly deceived as the ball loops through low to the keeper.
Sanderson around the wicket now to Hankins. That's beaten him on the drive. So he's beaten on the pull now, beaten on the drive. So consecutive dot balls from the seamer. It leaves Gloucestershire 25 from 21 balls that they require. 14 for 1 is the score. Sanderson halfway through his over. Bowls to Hankins, who again plays and misses. So that's the second time in 3 balls he's tried to pull deliveries through mid-wicket, which have been short and wide outside the off-stump.
Great change-up from Sanderson. The ball before that was 140 kilometres an hour. That was 128.
Good modern cricket, isn't it?
Not equal to it. Oh, it really is.
So Sanderson sticking with his around-the-wicket approach. That's fallen on the stumps. Hankins doesn't mind that. Plays through the onside behind square for 1. They consider a second, but no. And wisely, they go back.
Well, I think they can have a look at this, you know, because I think Shea Pajaro is a... so low, that's close.
That's closer than it looks on first impression. Watching it back, I need to see a couple of television replays down in Norcross.
All tight. He's just home, I'd say. Just home. His bat sinking into this rather soft Adelaide Oval turf, you could see there. But, he's got the benefit of the doubt. That was tight. Shea Pajaro, not known for being a great runner between the wickets, and he's just not even put in a dive there, is he?
So we've got one ball to come in this over.
I think that was it. I think that was the end.
That was the end of the over. So we're 2 overs into the shape. No, sorry, one ball to come. So Sanderson will move over the wicket to deliver to Pajaro. 24 from 19 needed. No issues there for Gloucestershire. They just need to keep accumulating. Sanderson to Pajaro. It's short and he beats him. So 4 times in the over, Sanderson's managed to get it past the outside edge. Twice with slow balls and twice with legitimate pace.
That was another 149 kilometre an hour. It takes incredible skill to be able to land that ball in effectively the same place each time. But you know, one time you're doing it and it's got what do we talk about? 2.5 yards of pace taken off it. Extraordinary stuff from Sanderson.
Blessing Mazarabani is into the attack. He bowls his first ball here to Hankins, who pulls through the onside. Doesn't get much of it out towards the man at fine leg. They take a single. He advances to 8 from 6 balls rather. They need 24 from 17 deliveries. 23 from 17 deliveries even.
Do you remember the first time we saw Ben Sanderson? I'll come back to it after this ball.
I do actually. Let's talk about that. Outside the off stump. Swing and a miss. That's Shea Pajaro on strike.
One of the most extraordinary games of cricket either of us had ever seen, wasn't it? It was a 2-day game in the end.
2-day game at Northamptonshire in the 2015 Ashes. We were calling it for the BBC. And then a man by the name of Stephen Crook made a 69-ball century and lit the place up. What a great man. Pajaro facing Muzrambani, and he strikes him inside out. That's a lovely strike. All the way into the Jack Odie stand. 131 metres. Bosh.
That is an absolute beauty, isn't it, from Pajaro? He's very strong in that area. He's hit one through there already in this game, and again, just a gentle, easy swing of the bat with elegance and with elevation to send it into the crowd. But back to Sanderson, you remember he and Richard Gleeson were playing. They haven't played much at that point for Northampton. I remember Gleeson arriving with sort of black trainers on hastily.
Here comes Pajaro, who doesn't make contact on this occasion. They're shouting for...
now this is close. No, I think it's LBW.
LBW.
Yeah. That looked very, very, very close
so
indeed.
The challenge.
Look, you might as well.
We're going upstairs. So I haven't picked that
I don't think they are.
Surely
I don't think they are going upstairs. I don't think they are.
Oh, dear me. Oh,
that is as plumb as plumb can be.
That's hitting middle stump, half an inch from the turf. And they haven't gone upstairs? Is that what you're saying, Daniel Norcross? They have
not. They talked about it. They've got a review.
Mazarabani's got to talk his captain into it in a situation like that. That's on the bowler, I say. 2 balls to go in his over. Bowls to Bajara, swings and misses. You're right about Sanderson. He came out, I think it was Richard Gleeson who came out to bat in black trainers, having arrived from, was it Northumberland he was playing for, something like that?
Yes, he was sort of drafted at the last minute, wasn't he? And he kept Stephen Crook company. Crookie was in the early 90s, wasn't he, when the ninth wicket fell?
And it was Crookie's birthday as well. We went out with him that night, didn't we?
That's right, we did.
Big day. Bajara, last ball of the over. He swings again outside the off stump. So it's an effective over. Hang on a second. Hang on a second, Daniel Norcross. Sometimes that can change everything. Suddenly, a very good over in the context of this game, conceding just 7 runs. It looks like he was out of it, but now 8 off it and a free hit. Pajara will face it. Mazarabani bowls. He shuffles across on the offside and swings through the onside. He's hit that well enough to go for 6. It just clears the rope. 73 metres, but I tell you what, in terms of breaking the back of a chase, one error like that from the bowler, when you're only defending 38, can make all the difference.
Well, it really can. It happens so often. In this case, from Muzarabani, a blessing in disguise for the Gloucestershire batsman, that no ball, as it allowed the opportunity to get that one extra one, smash it for 6.
Hankins facing Ashraf. It's on the onside. He pushes it well and strikes it down for 4.
Sure.
Well, he's timed that really nicely, the opener. He moves in the double figures and he's within 1 strike of the cricket ball of wrapping this up nice and early and moving into the semi-finals with Gloucestershire undefeated.
Yeah, well, how this game has changed. And 2 balls ago, we thought we'd seen a dot ball that was going to make for a potentially tricky run chase. Since then, no ball gives them a single, then the 6, then the 4. The one meaty blow away here from not just going through to the semi-finals, but going through in some style. 5 wins out of 5 it would be if they can wrap this up. There's no reason why they shouldn't from here.
So Ashraf to Hankins. He moves to over the wicket. 6 runs to play with 11 balls. Hankins. Can he finish it with a 6? Oh, I tell you what, that's exactly what he has done. Over the rope, 80 metres, game over. Gloucestershire have won in a canter. 10 balls to spare. They've won by 4 wickets. They've cleared the group without dropping a game, without dropping a set. They're through to the semi-finals.
Well, they have. It's been a class performance from Gloucestershire. All those dot balls applying pressure on Northampton, the Northampton innings, and then showing no signs of panic. As that run rate was just looking like it might creep up, there was that one error from Muzarabani that was punished quite magnificently from Pajara. Then Hankins finishing it all off, as you say. 10 balls to spare, 5 6s and 1 4 in that innings. Hankins ends 19 unbeaten off the 9 balls, but Pajara, some words on Pajara, you know, he gives such solidity, doesn't he, to that Gloucestershire middle order, coming in at 3. Not, you might think, the classic 5-over cricketer, but look at his class. It's told today, 19 off 11, an easy win for Gloucestershire. They're through to the semi-finals.
Yeah, and coming in after they lost a wicket in the first ball of the chase as well. So essentially they did it together, 19 runs apiece, both unbeaten. So as I mentioned, Group 1's table, it's convincing for Gloucestershire. They played 5, they won 5. They're through to the semi-finals in fantastic fashion. They'll play the team that comes second in Group 2 on the 7th of May. And in semi-final 2, it'll be Hampshire qualifying from Group 1 in second position. And they'll play the winner of Group 2. Now, that'll be determined tomorrow.
I'm looking forward to it. And my word, we can almost smell the semi-finals and final, Colo.
So Northamptonshire out of the competition. Gloucestershire and Hampshire going through from Group 1. Stick with us on thecricketer.com for the final group game tomorrow at 5 p.m. I'll be here, Adam Collins. He'll be here as well, Daniel Norcross. Until then, goodbye.
Ricardo, you haven't quite managed to make it into the last 4 of the Quarantine Cup. It didn't quite go to plan today against Gloucester. So how do you reflect on that display?
Yeah, didn't really get enough on the board there in the end. Was always going to be a tough game playing against him with his record in the competition, but yeah, I didn't do enough with the bat, I think, to put up a proper challenge.
And how do you reflect on your performance as a whole over the group stage of this tournament?
I think it was exciting at times, nerve-wracking, but overall I think it was a pretty fun tournament, and I think the boys put up a decent display and just unfortunately didn't quite get over the line into the semis.
Well done for taking part We obviously really appreciate it, and best of luck when the real season actually manages to start.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
So that's it for Group 1 of the Quarantine Cup. All 6 sides having played their 5 games, and as Colo was explaining a little bit earlier, it means the situation is this. Gloucestershire go through with maximum points from their 5 matches. They'll play the runner-up in Group 2. Hampshire go through in second. They'll play the winner of Group 2. The deciding date in the Group 2 schedule is, of course, tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock. Sussex play Glamorgan. Glamorgan go into that game knowing that they'll need to win and score at least 5 boundaries if they are to get through. So lots of action to look forward to on your Saturday evening in lockdown. But for now, that's all we've got time for. Thanks very much to everyone in Group 1 who's played but not managed to get through. For Northamptonshire, Ricardo, Vasconcelos. For Essex, Jamie Porter, Tom Moores at Nottinghamshire and Dan Mosley at Warwickshire. Group 2 is yet to be decided. That's tomorrow. Join us from 5 o'clock.
Cricket, our national treasure? Or dying irrelevance? Bodyline, tactical genius? Or national disgrace? The 100, inspired innovation? Or misguided mistake? Join the cricket conversation with a subscription to the Cricketer magazine.